Question, Max. Triple G. What does he do now if Canelo doesn't fight him? What? Because he feels like he's in a bad predicament right now. What can he do at this stage? He's getting older.
Yeah.
What does he do?
He's exactly in Marvin Hagler's situation and his position in the early 80s when Hagler was obviously the best middleweight in the world. It was easier to make fights back then. So, get guys to fight. So he cleaned out the division. In a way, Triple G hasn't, just because the middleweights won't fight him, and promotional situations and network situations, what they are. Some of the other top 160-pounders are not in a position to fight Triple G right now, even if they wanted to. And I don't think their people do want them to, because they would lose. But still, he's destroyed everyone and put in his path. So what Hagler had to do, he couldn't break through, he couldn't cross over. He had to wait for one of the lighter guys to move up and fight him. The first guy up was Roberto Duran, who had beaten Davey Moore. Everyone thought Duran was finished. He knocks out Davey Moore on his 32nd or 3rd birthday at Madison Square Garden. And now Duran has all this juice behind him. And who was the next logical opponent to fight? Sugar Ray Leonard had just left boxing. The biggest fight for him was Marvin Hagler. They made the fight, and that crossed Hagler over. After he beat Duran, and then Hearns destroyed Duran, that set up Hagler-Hearns, and Hagler got Hearns, and then eventually Sugar Ray came out of retirement. And he came out of retirement to fight Hagler after Duran fought Hagler when Sugar Ray was working for HBO in Roy's job. Post-fight, Duran told him, off camera, you fight him next, you beat him. And that started getting Ray thinking, maybe I'll come back and beat this guy. And the same sort of thing's going to have to happen to Triple G. Someone's going to have to move up with a name who fights him. And I think that guy's going to be Canelo. If Triple G wins that fight, there needs to be another fighter out there who thinks he's beatable, right? Okay, fine. He beats Canelo, he crosses over in a new way. If he beats Canelo. And then someone else has to think, okay, with a name, has to think, okay, fine, I'll come back and fight him. Back in the day, the situation would be Floyd. That would be the Sugar Ray Leonard coming back. Floyd ain't going to fight Triple G.
Probably not.
Obviously. So, who's that going to be? Eventually, I think Triple G's biggest fight will be Andre Ward. Because I think that, as I've told you many times, true super fights cannot be promoted into existence. This was a promotional event. It's a big fight, but it's not a true super fight in the sense that it's not that these two guys, when the dust settled, were left standing as the two best guys. It's that, hey, these are two really good fighters, Mexico, Puerto Rico, both around the same weight class. Let's make good styles. Let's make the fight. True super fights, where the world stops spinning when that happens, is Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Because when the dust settled in that era, those two guys were left standing. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, same thing. That's a super fight. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, that's a super fight. So on a much lower level in terms of the box office, it would seem at this point, in this era, when you survey the landscape and think, who is going to be left standing? In other words, in that weight area, who's the best? Come on, guys, everyone knows who the best is. Andre Ward and Triple G. And unless one of them gets tripped up, that, I think, eventually will happen, just kind of like nature taking its course. But, styles make fights, and Kovalev could get in the way of that, too. Kovalev is a very tough matchup for Andre Ward.
Max, with all these catch weights and people disputing whether they should fight each other, how will HBO sustain the hierarchy of high-level fights with Canelo possibly not wanting to fight, Triple G possibly not wanting to fight.
You hit the nail on the head.
Rigo not wanting to go up.
Isn't that funny? Everyone's always everyone's guilty of this. Everyone's guilty of this. Triple G is. Marvin Hagler was. Rigondeaux is. They're all guilty of it. They all want the little guy to come up and meet them, and they complain about it when they don't, right? But they don't want to really go up and fight the bigger guys. So, for example, Rigondeaux is telling Lomachenko, okay, I'm 22, you're 26, let's fight at 24. That's halfway between them. He's telling Chocolatito, I'm 22, you're 12, let's fight at 18. It's not exactly halfway. It's a little more towards him. Marvin Hagler, while he was waiting for those little guys to come up, you know who called him out? Why am I the only person who remembers this? Because I'm getting old, man. You know who called him out? Michael Spinks. light heavyweight. Michael Spinks didn't have a fight because he cleaned out the light heavyweight division, kind of like what Andre Ward did at super middle, although the light heavyweights back then were murderers row, different. But still, he beat everybody. He didn't have anyone else to fight. He beat Braxton, Dwight Muhammad Qawi. He beat, he beat everybody. Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Eddie Gregory back then. Just clean out the division. So he was looking for a fight, and he saw Hagler calling out the little guys. He said, okay, well, Marvin, you're calling out the little guys. Why don't you come up and fight me? Hagler wasn't trying to go up to 75 to fight Michael Spinks because he's too big. Eventually, Michael Spinks had to go up to fight Larry Holmes. I mean, this is the way it always works. And eventually something happens. Someone decides, all right, I guess I'm not getting this fight. I might as well move up.